Mudlup 50. Mudlup 50.
Hello fellow YouTubers and welcome to this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. The idea behind this series has been rooted in my head for about 13 months, but I think this will be a great idea. Before I get started, I'm not some super baseball sleuth guy who knows everything about every club's farm teams to injury probability or baseball stadiums and how they affect balls flying away or that kind of stuff. So, also, more so than in any sport, baseball can't be predicted accurately. It just can't be. Injuries, breakthrough seasons, bust seasons, mid-season trades, mid-season call-ups. Sure, I'll be wrong quite a bit, most likely. So, let's just start the series off with the American League East. I've spent most of my life in areas where to be a homer, you'd be a fan of the Orioles. Since I started following baseball, that was the team I was supposed to follow. But I always say, forget the rules. Point of all that being, this will be a good season for many other Oriole fans to do the same. I hate to break it to you guys, but I'm almost certain this team will suck this year. They weren't too good last year, and the major reasoning was the pitching. I feel like everybody who follows the team knows that. Yet, for some dumb dick reason, they spent the vast majority of the offseason re-signing power hitters. I mean, they're going to pay Chris Davis a boatload of money for the next 7 years. More accurately, over $160 million. I'm all for locking up key players. Makes sense, but it does when they're useful players. Let's view the facts here. Chris Davis has one skill, and that is hitting home runs. If he isn't hitting a home run or a double, he's striking out. Realistically, he's 29 now, and he will be 36 when this deal expires. You'll be paying a 36-year-old $20 million to hit maybe 20 home runs, hog the best offensive position, and bat slightly above the Mendoza line, because his batting average isn't high now. I can continue crapping on this deal, but let's move on. You lost Wei-Yin Chen this season, and this sucks because he was the team's best starting pitcher last year, pitching with 3.34 ERA, good for, get this, 22nd on the All-MLB list. Yeah, he has a career ERA of 3.72, but he does in one of MLB's worst parks for pitching. In 2015, Camden Yards was the third worst park for pitchers due to its dimensions. So that 3.34 ERA looks better, doesn't it? Well, I'm glad they're replacing him, but they are doing that with Giovanni Gallardo, who has a career ERA of 3.66, which, if you're good at math, you might realize is just 0.06 better than Chen. He also comes from a good hitter's park, and is a whole 1 year younger than Chen. So, basically, he's going to do worse than Chen did last year. Other key moves, if you want to call them that, were re-signing Darren O'Day, which, don't get me wrong, great deal. Traded for Mark Trumbo, which makes little sense, and signed up for Pedro Alvarez. You know, as of my writing this information out, the Orioles have spent more in this offseason on free agents than any other team, yet they have almost nothing to show for it. Your core of guys are going to get older, and aside from some good play out of Machado, O'Day, Jones, and Wieters, you're going to be sorely disappointed. The big problem for the club was pitching. Yeah, they basically ran in place this offseason on that front. I predict the Orioles to end the season with a record of around 73 wins, 89 losses. I highly doubt we're going to get a single good year out of any of these pitchers. Multiple starters with ERAs over 4, maybe even every single one of them. With a power offense, but no good pitchers, and the rest of the division improving this offseason, the Orioles will become sellers at the trade deadline. Will they try to trade a slumping Chris Davis? Maybe get rid of Caleb Joseph? Now that we're out of the basement, let's climb up 2 of our proverbial 10 steps out, with the next team being the Rays. I like this club. I do. I have for years, but I just can't imagine them doing much better than 4th place in this crowded division. Last year they finished 80 and 82, but even that was kind of shocking. Can you tell me their big moves this offseason? Like, who they signed, yeah, there really wasn't a single big move, was there? They've picked up guys, but didn't really do much of anything else. I want to cheer for the Rays, but they aren't going to be good this season. Their one saving grace will be the fact that I don't think the division is going to be ran away with this season. The Rays pitching staff pitched a 3.74 ERA last season, which was best in their division, and I fully expect that trend to continue, but aside from some small offensive moves, they haven't made a splash. Maybe we'll get a breakout season by Steve Pearce, James Loney, Steven Souza Jr., or Kevin Kiermaier that might just propel them higher, but for now I have them finishing with a record of about 75-87. More than likely, they'll stand pat at the trade deadline, and barring some horrendous accident by the teams above them, will end up having another losing season. They used to be big spenders, but recent years they've been quiet, and that's why I'm pegging them as about a 500 club this season. I'm referring obviously to the Yankees. I will criticize their lack of moves in recent years, but it makes sense when you're paying Sabathia, get this, over $20 million to give you a 4.73 ERA. You know, he hasn't had a sub-4 ERA since 2012. And this highlights my issue with these long mega deals. CC was signed in 2009 by the Yankees, and since then has put up 4 good seasons and 3 absolutely horrible ones. He's even projected to have an ERA of 4.74 by BaseballReference.com. Then you look at the club's moves this offseason, and you'll see a club standing strong, hoping for repeat performances all around. Guys like Alex Rodriguez, Mark Teixeira, and Sabathia will be chewing up monster amounts of the team's salary. I want to say all 3 of them will be making over $20 million. Yet they won't be able to put up great numbers. They'll be taking up great spots for offense and putting up so-so numbers. My issue with A-Rod has been documented very well on this channel, but realistically, you can't expect the 41-year-old former PED-addicted third base DH Rodriguez to carry the offense. You can't. They still haven't found a great option to take Jeter's spot, and McCann, who seemed like a great investment at the time, hasn't really panned out that way yet. Let's look at their pitchers, shall we? Last year, they had a team ERA over 4. Tanaka, who was supposed to be a great signing, declined getting surgery, so he very well might have a worse season than last year's 3.51. Hell, if you look, only one pitcher pitched over 160 innings last year, and that was CC. The one thing the team has right now is the bullpen, and yes, I think this bullpen will be magical and save the team from finishing under 500. Aroldis Chapman, Dylan Betankiss, I'm sure I mispronounced that, and Andrew Miller might eat up 200 innings between them, each with an ERA under 2.05, which all 3 accomplished last season. The starting rotation being so miserable, let's be honest about it, these 3 guys will shine that much brighter. And with Chapman only on board for 1 season, he might be a major trade chip come the trade deadline. I project the Blue Bombers to finish at about 80-80, just barely over 500. I predict the walk season for the Blue Jays roster will go well, but not quite well enough to capture their division in 2 consecutive years. Last year, this club made their way into the postseason on the back of their offense. Like, literally, that was completely because of their offense. And that's not going anywhere with their core 4 power hitters still front and center, but their starting pitching has been depleted to say the least. They lost Price, and worse yet to the Red Sox. Burley might be retiring, if rumors are to be believed. That leaves Marco Estrada and R.A. Dickey to carry this pitching staff. Scared? Well, Blue Jay fans should be. The only saving grace for the pitching staff is that the team very well might trade for a visible upgrade at the trade deadline like they did last year. And the weak division might help that be enough to carry them into the postseason. Granted, maybe some young call-ups will prove me wrong on this one. Who knows? Offensively, this team is going to rake if last year was any indication. Batista's power numbers are trending up, and he very well might knock 40 round trippers again. Josh Donaldson might continue his ascent in the baseball greats by knocking in 40 homers and driving in 120 again. Troy Tulowitzki might stay healthy all season and hit 30 homers like he has in the past. And Edwin Encarnacion might bang in 35 more for good measure. All that being said, though, there are a lot of maybes in play there. As has been the case for years in Colorado, can you count on Troy not to get hurt? Will the aging Batista and Encarnacion still rake in a more pitcher-friendly park? Without many good starting options or leadoff options, will they hold on? I do find it humorous that the American League East features 5 teams that are all missing something. And for most of them, it's starting pitching. But anyway, I project them to win about 87 games and lose around 75. That leaves us with the Red Sox to take the division with a record of approximately 88 wins and 74 losses. Their big moves this offseason include Craig Kimbrell, David Price, and I'm predicting they take their division. Crazy, right? The problem this club had before was the lack of a true bona fide ace, and they have that now with Price. Since 2009, he's ate over 200 innings every year but one, so you know he goes deep into ball games and has played for two of the other teams in this division, so you know we can handle this division. He's led the league in ERA twice in his career and will slide into a roster of solid number 2 and 3 guys. Kimbrell will help in the bullpen, hopefully with a bounce-back year for Koji Uehara. It wouldn't be an insanely dominant bullpen, but it'd be good enough to save the games that need saving. The offense was a big issue last year as well, with guys like Hanley Ramirez, Pablo Sandoval, and even a half season for Dustin Pedroia. But all of those guys had down years and careers that had typically been way better than that. Pedroia, for instance, ignoring 2015 and 2010, has played in over 135 games every other year. So if he stays healthy, which signs show he can do, and it's for about a 300 average, you have a great piece in the club. Plus, he's a veteran presence and former Rookie of the Year and Most Valuable Player. Then you look at Sandoval, who, from what I heard, lost some weight, but this was a mistake on the team's part for signing him to such a good deal. He wasn't that great to begin with, hitting 20 homers on a good year, driving in 80 only once before signing him. That was a dumb move. But maybe they thought his numbers would spike because he was leaving the National League and going to a much more hitter-friendly ballpark. Who knows why he dropped, but let's lay partial blame on the underwhelming team around him. If the team starts out hot, he might just hit in 20-plus homers. And with the plethora of guys ahead of him who he could drive in, maybe he'll break 90 again. Now with Hanley, I had heard he'll be playing first base this year, so hopefully he'll be able to play more games. He seems like a PED user looking at those stats. Just saying. He used to bang in 40 doubles, double-digit triples, and 30 homers a year. Then he plummeted. But if they could get some solid production out of him, and that $23 million they'll be paying him, yeah, they could do well if the younger guys keep getting better and the veterans give solid seasons. That should be enough to steal the division away from the Blue Jays. So that's my prediction. Just to go over it again, the Red Sox will take the division with 88 wins, followed by the Blue Jays at 87, Yankees at 82, Rays at 75, Orioles at 73. I'm going to pick one player from each team who will sway their team either up to contention or down into the basement. I'm going to refer to this from now on as the wild card. Starting with the Orioles, I'm picking Chris Davis. Nah, I'm just playing. It'll be Giovanni Gallardo. The team needed an ace, so if Gallardo can put up a sub-3 ERA and eat up some innings to rest the bullpen, they might actually contend. We'll go 500. Kevin Kiermaier will be the wild card for the Rays. He's going to put on a clinic in the outfield either way, but if he could find his stroke with the bat and bang in maybe 20-plus homers, 30 doubles, double-digit triples, you have a team that could contend. For the Yanks, I'd say the wild card is all the old guys. But that would kind of be a cop-out year, wouldn't it? In seriousness, though, you have A-Rod, Mark Teixeira, Sabathia, and Tanaka who are making over $20 million a year to underperform. I guess I'll have to go with Tanaka, though. If he could go back to his 2014 form and chew through some innings, the Yankees could find some power guys at the trade deadline to push them through to the top. The Blue Jays wild card is either Troy Tulowitzki or Dickey, but I guess I'll lean towards Dickey. He has his moments where he can be an asset, and then others where the game gets away from him. But Stroman can't carry the load alone, and the offense will power in runs no matter what. To break my trend of pitchers being essential, though, I have Hanley Ramirez as the wild card for the Red Sox. He needs to step up as the veteran he is and earn the $23 million they're paying him this year. But anyways, like the video if you think I put this together pretty well, comment with your predictions or any arguments you have with my points, and subscribe to see the next 5 parts of this series. Also, ask me questions for my next Q&A video, and subscribe, because you should always just subscribe. But I guess I'm done, so peace out, home skillets.
Mudlup 50. Mudlup 50.